And salutations, Yarima here. This will be a segment of Voices from Behind the Wall, and so I wanted to talk about this today because we know that right now there's the brothers, at least the men, are basically having a lay down in prison, and this is in ode to they started this on the anniversary of the 1971 Attica prison uprising. And so they have taken a stance. They're tired of the slave system. They're tired of basically in some states working for nothing, making the corporations and the prisons billions of dollars while they get pennies. They also made reference to the fact that in the Constitution, which is true in the Constitution, they said that slavery had ended except if you're in prison. Well, we know that the prison system actually never ended for us as blacks, because we know that, quote unquote, after the emancipation, so to speak, when the slaves were, quote unquote, set free, they immediately sent the slave patrols out, which they call them the police now, and sent them out to regather the freed slaves and incarcerate them, barter them back out to the same slave camps or slave plantations that they were freed from, bartered them back out from the jails, and put them back to work. And so we know that this perpetual system of our enslavement in this country has extended since 1863 and beyond. And so I commend those brothers who took that stance and who are doing that. And I say that it's so very important that we lend them our support. But I also think that it crosses. See, we're looking at it from the prison aspect of these brothers are, and it should be sisters too. Hopefully the sisters are on board with this too in their respective institutions. But we're looking at it from the institution aspect of, yeah, these brothers and sisters are tired. They're working for slave wages. They're being mistreated, mentally, physically, and spiritually abused by the administrative staff that work at these institutions, by the correctional officers that work at these institutions. But I think it even goes bigger. It transcends that, because we can take that lesson and apply it out here. So what have we called for? We called for a boycott out here. Not to spend money, not to spend our dollars except on needs in white retail outlets, to transfer our money from white financial institutions and transfer that money into black-owned institutions. But what I want to talk about, because when we talk about these brothers doing a strike, and I want you to listen closely, because this applies here. I think a lot of times when we talk, and I'm putting together, I'm working, we're strategic planning now, so I'm putting together a diagram that I think is important, because I think visuals speak more volumes a lot of times than just hearing it. So the brother says the video is not working. I hope everybody else can see me. Zuberry, I don't know what's going on your end. I believe that the family can still see me though, so you might want to check your connection. But I think that it's so important for us to remember that when we talk about moving forward and change, what that really entails and the sacrifice that really goes into that. So here's an example. I was in prison, and there was talk about a strike. And what had happened was this brother, this brother sent a message out to his wife and said, hey, I want you to put this out, but it has to go. And remember, so I'm in a federal institution. And so this brother sent this message out to his wife saying, hey, we want to strike on this particular date. And we want, but not just at this particular institution, we know that we need to have it as much across the board as possible. Because not only do we want to send a message, but we want the conditions to change. And so you have the plan. you have a goal, because there was a goal with this strike that we were going to implement, and we knew that we needed the unity. And whenever you hear me talk, you always hear me talk about the numbers are so important, because numbers speak volumes. If one person does something, that's one person, but 1,000 people do something, that's impact. And so he sent this out. His wife passed the message. We knew that, so the message was passed. Now, we also know that there are agent provocateurs, so we also know that we have to understand that when you have people within your organization, they have agent provocateurs who are going to go back and tell. They're going to go back, rat, snitch, be turncoats, all of that. So we knew that. And so we just automatically said that the administration knows. So the date came. The date came that we were supposed to do this. And what it was is that when they called work call, and mind you, there was a whole bunch of negotiation that went on with this. It wasn't as simple as saying we're going to strike because of these conditions and everybody be on board. Just like it's not as easy as me saying, just don't spend your money in white establishments. It's easy to say, but to actually implement and have people do it. I mean, you go to Walmart right now and you'll see hundreds of black people spending money, not on needs, but they haven't thought about searching out a black business. So it's easy to talk about, but to actually execute and put into motion. And before you get to the execution, actually getting the number of people on board that you're going to do it, because we understood that if 10 people just decide they're not going to work, well, all they're going to do, the administration is going to put them in the hole, ship them out. They come up missing, and the normal cycle just continues. So we eliminate these 10 who are rabble-risers, as they like to refer to us. We eliminate them, get them out of the way, because they consider us to be the bad apples. So we knew that we needed the majority. And so there was a lot of negotiation that went on prior to this. Negotiation to the point like, okay, the food service department, we go to work sometimes people go to work at 3 a.m. So if we don't go to work, and they say, so that's not going to work, because we don't want to be on the front lines and get locked up. And then, because basically Unicor, the industry, that's what we're really talking about. And for those of you who know about Unicor, that's the moneymaker in prison. When you have these industries that make furniture, make military items, make all these different things. They make government clothing, government furniture, that sort of thing. So those are the money makers in the prison. And so the brothers were saying, well, they need to be the ones to lay down, because they're the ones that are making the system billions of dollars. It's not food service. We're forced to do our job to feed the population. And so there was a bunch of negotiation between different groups. Then not only that, you had the negotiation between the whites, blacks, and the different races. And so we had to go through that as well. And so after the negotiation, and we all agree this is going to happen, so then the date comes. A date comes that we're supposed to implement, and bam, we do it. They call work call. And the funny thing is that when they call work call, it was the flip thing. It was the flip side. It wasn't everybody going to work and only 10 guys not going. It was actually the flip side. The flip was that everybody stood still and you had 15, 20 guys going to work. Well, unfortunately for some of them, they couldn't come back to the compound because now they're exposed. And so, but the administration knew. They knew when they called work call that, because again, agent provocateurs had let them know. So they call work call like 3 or 4 times. Nobody goes. And so I'm giving you a picture of what these brothers and sisters are going through right now as they go through their sit down in prison. They call work call. Nobody goes. They call it 3, 4 times. Bam. Then they call lockdown. So now they call the lockdown. Well, so now there's no hot meals. You're going to be fed bag lunches, cheese sandwiches, They'll give you a cheese sandwich, some chips, and an apple. And you might get that. You might get that 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. And so what happens, and this is why the premise of this subject is, when it comes to change, do we actually know the discipline and the sacrifice that entails? Because so this is the problem. This is the problem. So when we lay down, now everything is on the staff to do, basically. And so what the staff do is they call the campers up from the camp. If the institution has a camp attached to it, which is why a lot of institutions now, they try to, especially in the federal system, they try to keep a camp attached to it, especially if it's a high penitentiary, because they know that the likelihood of these guys in the pen bucking and laying down and saying, F you, we're not doing it, they know that the likelihood is high. Also, the death toll. When they have a killing or a death, they lock it down. So then they bring the campers in, because they know that the campers are a little bit more docile. The campers are a little bit more passive. The campers, they got short time. They just want to go home. They're not going to buck because they don't want to go back up into a medium institution or a low or even a high. So they know that pretty much the campers are going to do. So see how they keep it divided. But for this particular institution, the campers were spread thin, because not only did they lay down in the penitentiary, but this particular institution was a conglomerate. So they had the penitentiary, they had the medium institution, and they had the low. Well, when all 3 of those lay down, and then you have the camp, they don't have enough campers to come into all these institutions to make the sandwiches, to make the meals, to clean up. So then that was on the staff to do that. So the staff start complaining like, yo, this isn't my job to pick up trash. I didn't sign up for this. Yo, this isn't my job to be making bag lunches. I didn't sign up for this. And so you have that going on, but then you have these brothers who are locked down in the cell. And so what the staff do, they come in and start investigating, because one, they want to know who called this, because they're going to get rid of them. They want to know who called this. And so they start calling people one by one. So 2,500 incarcerated gentlemen all get interviewed by the staff. I don't know what's going on. I had come into the system like, I'm not working, I'm not doing this. And so they, from the get, they started locking me up. From day one when I came in, I'm like, nah, I'm not cutting grass. I'm not doing that. First of all, I'm not guilty of the crime. So therefore, I'm not going to lay down. And so you had brothers like that. So when we got called in for the interview, it was simple. Well, I don't work anyway. So I wasn't going to Unicor anyway. I don't know what's going on. Your problem, not mine. And so, but the problem is that, so 2 weeks go by. And this is where it gets very important. 2 weeks go by. You got brothers who got vices. You got brothers who, because in this whole time there's no store, no canteen or commissary. They're not allowing you to shop and go to the store. They don't care if you have soap and stuff like that. They don't care about that. And so So the brothers are now, 2 weeks have gone by. So the brothers are now like, well, they're getting antsy because they've run out of cigarettes. They've run out of certain things. And so now it's becoming an issue like, well, wow, man, food is running out. So you might have started out because you prepared. You already knew what was going on. So you prepared. So you might have started out with a locker full of stuff because you stacked up on supplies. Well, now that's running late because you're not going to live off cheese sandwiches and stuff. You know what they're doing. And so now the supply is running low. Brothers have vices. They need to smoke. They need this. They need that. And so at the same time, we had black guards coming by telling us, hey, keep doing what you're doing. It's working. Keep it up. The black guards are encouraging on the low. They're like, keep it up, bro. Because they know our plight. Brothers had vices. As soon as they let the brothers out to go shower, have an hour or so out, Brothers couldn't stand, man. And not realizing that, hey, this is going to be what we're talking about 6 months to a year, if not longer. We're talking about laying down until the negotiation process is over. And that became the problem. That became a problem because brothers didn't have that. They didn't have that wherewithal to complete the task. And so that's why I say we need to support those brothers and sisters who are laying down. But we also need to know that in times of when we look for change, it's not easy. There's sacrifices that have to be made. And if you're attached to vices and things of that nature, if you got these vices and you have to detach yourself. You have to detach, because saying things as simple as a simple cigarette, being wanting to smoke, that can be the difference between the movement being sold out and the movement not being sold out. And that's just real. And so I wanted to bring that to light. I think it's so important that brothers, that we know the plight of what's going on with these brothers in here and know what they're going through, and also recognize that we are, recognize that even out here, as we move out here, when we want change, sacrifices have to be made, and there's attachments that you're going to have to detach yourself from. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. That's just because nothing is going to come easy, and we live in a microwave society where we want things to come easy. But it's unfortunately it's not that easy. It's not that cut and dry. And so again, my name is Yarima Karama. Hit my webpage, www.yarimakarama.com. My new album is out, Up From the Trenches, Out of the Tombs. Please cop that. It's on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, all the major media outlets. Also our digital outlets, digital download outlets. Also be looking for the All Black National Convention coming up this next few days, as a matter of fact, September 15th through the 17th. That's Thursday through Saturday at the Shrine of the Black Madonna in ATL. So be looking for that. Until next time, peace, blessings, salutations. One, Yarima Karama, I'm out.